Hi, and thanks for checking out my channel. In this video, I'm testing out GstarCAD's block editor for the first time, more or less. I played around in it a bit, but never created anything substantial yet. I recorded this intro after making the block. The video is a little longer than my typical content, so I just wanted to share my conclusion first. This in turn gives you the option to decide whether or not to watch the whole video. So anyways, the block creation went well. I created various forms of the same block in AutoCAD. It requires a unique assortment of actions and parameters. That makes it a good choice for testing out GstarCAD's block editor. GstarCAD's block editor is very similar to AutoCAD LT's, in that it has the actions and parameters, but it's lacking the parametric constraints. Still, when comparing to everything except AutoCAD and AutoCAD LT, it's way ahead of the competition, especially when you compare programs in the same price range. The pros, I've basically just summarized them. You get a block editor more or less equal to AutoCAD LT's, but in a project that costs way less. None of the other AutoCAD alternatives really come close to what GstarCAD has right now. The cons? Since I'm relatively new to GstarCAD, I'm sure I'll find more issues. So far, things have gone pretty smoothly. The only issue I've found is that when you edit a dynamic block's parameters, you'll get some unexpected results. For example, a flip state might switch on you. Compared to AutoCAD, you can expect more unexpected behavior when editing blocks in GstarCAD. This issue can be quite easily worked around if you only edit blocks at the start of a project and do a save block as. Should you absolutely need to change a block during a project, you should be okay. Anyways, let's finally get started making the block. Okay, first things first, I'm going to start drawing the block geometry. Just copying my text just so I have something to reference when I draw the circle. In the final block, these will actually be attributes. I'm finding that in GstarCAD I'm more reliant on the properties window. I'm totally fine with that because if you ever use Revit, you'll absolutely, there's no avoiding using your properties window. So I want everything on layer 0. Now, it's important to note when you're drawing a block that's going to be annotative, make sure your annotative scale is set to 1:1 when you're drawing the geometry. It'll make things way easier later on. So I think I want a circle. I'm going to make it 0.4. I'll just check my units, decimal degrees, yeah, inches. So this is going to be my imperial template, so I want all my units in inches. Once I make the final template, I'll probably, it depends on the discipline, it's most likely going to be, my units will be set to architectural, but for now I'm just going to work in decimal inches. Actually, one thing I forgot to do is I gotta make attributes. Let's put the tail on this. So as you can see, there's no contextual tab that appears for hatches, so you actually have to go here and use the properties window. But quite honestly, once you're familiar with it, it's equally as quick as the way you're probably used to in AutoCAD. This might be a new feature. I don't know. I don't remember that in AutoCAD. Anyways, I'm not gonna try it out. So when I make these blocks, I'll actually make this arrow. I'm going to make it a nested block. So actually I'll deal with that right now. I'll just put this in there. So it makes it way easier to set up your actions later on rather than having to, you might accidentally not select one element and it'll get all messy on you. When I make nested blocks, I put an X in front of them just so they sort towards the bottom. Okay, so we're almost ready. I'm wondering if I should make this a different size, but I think I'll leave that for now. Okay, I'm going to run the block command. So my naming convention, I always put a hash mark first so it sorts at the top of the list of blocks. Then the category. This could be anno, it could be steel, wood, rebar, concrete, and then whatever the object is. So I want it to be annotative. Okay, so we're finally in business, ready to start actually building the block. The one thing I tried out before getting in here is I actually figured out how to set actions. So that's the only thing I know how to do. So I'm not doing this completely from scratch or no knowledge at all. Oops. So these I find, I gotta hover over them to figure out what they are. This one says linear stretch, so I'm gonna click on that. So if you're familiar with AutoCAD, this will be a little bit of an adjustment, but it's not too hard. And I couldn't figure out how to, in AutoCAD you'd right click and it would give you the option to apply the action, but in GstarCAD you double click on the action and then you get the same series of prompts. Okay, let's close the block editor, save it, and let's test out our new stretch action. Okay, that's working, right? Oops, I gotta use the B edit command now. So I just use the bat order command to move my attributes in the same order I want them to appear, because previously the detail of course was at the bottom and the drawing was at the top, the drawing number, but I want them to be reversed. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is add I either gotta add a flip or a rotation. Let's do the rotation set. Okay, let's select all the objects. Okay, so far everything's working just like we want it. Let's see if our attributes went into the, yeah, drawing. Oops, I might have to run I'm going to see if the @sync command works in a... I might have to... Let's see... Okay, now it did. So that whatever I did with the @sync command didn't take hold. So the @sync command, when you change the attribute order, it doesn't refresh because that would create a lot of problems with the existing blocks in your drawing. So you have to use the @sync command to manually change them. But when you do it to one block, it does it to all those blocks, those block definitions in your drawing. But anyways, I won't get too into that. Just if you're having trouble with your attribute order, remember the bat order command. I'll just type that into my command prompt. So the bat order command, and you can then set your attribute order. And then once you exit out of the block, you'll run the @sync command. So I don't know what I did there, it didn't quite work, but any new block definition that's inserted after you run the bat order will adhere to your new attribute order. But otherwise you'd have to use the @sync to make existing blocks follow that new order. Okay, so now we got to add our flip sets. So I think I'll put this up here. Oops, I completely botched that. I'm going to delete that. So let's see if this is like AutoCAD. If I just drag that grip over, yeah, it'll reverse for me. So one thing I remembered with AutoCAD is that if my flip set's insertion point is at a different place than the grip, it creates unpredictable results. So make sure whenever you use these flip sets, I highly recommend that your flip grip is located at the insertion point of the flip action, which it moved on me for whatever reason, but let's fix that right now. Okay, so I'm not going to mess with that anymore. I'm going to double click on this. Just select all my objects. So I'm going to turn also my grid off because it's not really helping me. So if you're wondering how I'm resizing all this stuff, you know, the grips, they don't they size to your screen, your current zoom. So I have a hotkey, a keyboard shortcut set up for F1. I've overwritten the help and have a regen all and hatch the back set to that, and I have a tutorial on that on my channel if you're curious. Okay, anyways, I got that first flip set in. So now I'm gonna, while I'm at it, I'm going to add, let's see. So all I did there was I double clicked on my rotation action, and I'm adding the flip set to that rotation action. Oops, okay. So when you make a block like this, don't expect to get it right like your very first time. It's actually hard to add flips and rotation parameters to the same block like this. And once I add the second flip, I'll be very lucky if I get it to work right the first time. That's where I might actually cut the video, fix my mistake if I do make it, and resume afterwards. Okay, so once you have your attributes, you can tell that I can't just double click the block to edit it. I have to use the bedit command. Okay, so all I have to do in this video, I'm gonna try the visibility state afterwards as well, but I gotta add one more flip set. Then I'll have to add that flip set to the action selection sets of this flip set and my rotation parameter. So I'll just find that guy again. Okay, so I'll move the whole works down. Make sure that grip is on my flip set's insertion point. Okay, let's move that again. So I guess my only complaint so far, and it's very minor, is that it's hard to see what's going on in the block editor. But as far as building the block, I'm finding it really, really easy. Much easier than other CAD workalikes. So anyways, I'm going to double click on that action to set up my second flip set. Just select everything and click enter. I'm going to add this flip set to my other flip set. Okay, so that didn't work. It's because I'm selecting something I shouldn't. I don't think I can select that. I think I can select this and this. Okay, we'll see if that works. And now my rotation parameter, I have to add that second flip set to it. Okay, so I'm going to close the block editor, save it, and now we'll try out our block and see if it works. So the real test is when I rotate it and then see if it's still... Okay, so the only thing I'm going to fuss over is I want to reverse the direction of that arrow. And I should save my work. I don't want this to crash because I don't want to re-record this video. Okay, so I think we're looking pretty good. Oops, gotta hit the B edit. So this, all I'm going to do is drag my grip like that. Next, I'm going to make sure that my grip is on the insertion point of the action, or the action's parameter, rather. These are parameters. These things right here, these little lightning bolt looking things, are the actions. Okay, so I'm just going to try it out again, because I'm going to... Oops, I thought I reversed that. I'm going to reinsert that block and see if that updated it. Okay, yeah, so for whatever reason the block didn't refresh for me. Maybe that's a minor glitch, but it doesn't create any real problems. Okay, so I'm going to go back into this guy. Now I want to add, similar to my other block, my AutoCAD version of this block, I added a visibility set. Okay, so in AutoCAD I'd be able to right click on these and simply there'd be an option to turn them off in the visibility state. Here I think I'm going to have to use the ribbon. Okay, so hopefully that works. It's always important to read your command prompt. I didn't see that down there, but I'm going to type C for current. So here's the advantage of using a block for this arrow. I just click it once and that's all I need to do. I don't need to select each little object independently. So for this I want to hide everything except the visibility state and the circle. Just think of a good name for that. Arrow tail, on, off. So sometimes I like to use a block or just leave a block just unmodified just right there and drag a block underneath it and modify it. So let's do detail 99. drawing. Okay, so one thing I screwed up. I don't think I want. I got to take this circle and this text out of the flip state. I should remove it from this flip state as well. And quite honestly, I don't actually want to rotate that bubble, so I'll take that out of the rotation sets flip state. So anyways, let's go back into our block, be edit. But that's good, because then I can test out taking things out of a selection set. So here at the command prompt, it says select objects to add to action set or remove. So type R for remove, that, and that. Oops, and this little line down here, I don't want that as part of. Okay, same thing for this. Remove this, 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 and this. Is that the rotation set? Okay, so what have I done there? Okay, with this I just need to modify that line a little bit, but my main concern is how my grip ended up there. That might just be a glitch from the block making process. That's why it's never a good idea to edit blocks that are already in the drawing to any high degree. It's best to get them ready before you're actually using them. Okay, so one thing I notice is that my attributes are flipped upside down, but I'm going to solve that right now. Or no, they aren't. No, they're correct. Never mind. Okay. No, quite honestly, this is working perfectly. So I think maybe in GstarCAD, if you heavily modify a block, the existing blocks might not take to the changes perfectly. But as you can see, the block, as long as I insert a fresh version of the block, it's working perfectly fine. Okay, so after playing around with the block for a few minutes, I can confirm that it is in fact working just like pretty much like I want it to. I'm just going to print preview it pretty quickly. Yeah, and everything looks okay. One thing I'm noticing is that it looks like there's some issues with the transparency not showing up. Not quite sure why, but I'll have to investigate that. It might be we'll have to figure that out a bit later here, but that's nothing to do with building this block. So anyways, in conclusion, I found the block editor works really, really good. It's a little bit different than AutoCAD. It's a little bit, you'll have to search a little bit to find some of the things. I'm looking at this. I don't, let's see. I don't see any parametric constraints, so it looks like the blocks are all driven by parameters and actions, but that I'm just fine. I'm perfectly okay with that. So that's one limitation. I noticed that BricsCAD went completely parametric, and they don't even have these actions or anything like that. So anyways, this video, it wasn't really a tutorial, and it dragged out to a good half hour, but maybe you were able to learn something, or just skip through the video and compare GstarCAD's block editor to AutoCAD's. I found it to be really good. I found it to be about equal to AutoCAD LT's block editor, so that's not bad for a program whose perpetual license costs the same, or maybe the equivalent of a 1.5 year subscription to AutoCAD LT. So that was pretty good. Anyways, hope you found this helpful, and thanks very much for watching.